Almost.
It was literally only a minute, it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's just start.
Okay.
Tell me a bit about yourself.
Is it recording?
Yeah, dang.
So, g'day, I'm Tim, one of the first year medical students here with the Uni of Melbourne. I grew up around Woodend in the Macedon Ranges, small country town about an hour out of Melbourne, and was lucky enough to also spend a lot of time in a small dairy farming community called Catamatite, which is about half an hour that way, just out of Shepparton. I did my secondary schooling in Mount Macedon, which is right next to Woodend, a school called Braemar College, and then went on to do my undergrad degree at the La Trobe University's Bendigo campus, studying biomed.
Excellent. How are you finding med school so far?
Yeah, med school's great fun. Obviously challenging at times, but overall I think we're all really enjoying it. We were really welcomed here to Shepparton. We're the first cohort to do their MD1 program, so first year of the Doctor of Medicine program here at Shepparton. So I suppose it was a little bit new for the uni as well, but they did an awesome job at welcoming us and I suppose really showing us the benefits of living up here in Shepparton. Through to where we are now, we just had our first, what we call the cumulative assessment task today. So our first, I suppose, mini exam full of proper academic content. And I mean, as with all exams, of course, there's a big difference in how everybody found it. But overall, I think a lot of people are feeling confident now they're starting to get the grips of medical school, and as those stresses start to alleviate, we're definitely settling in and enjoying ourselves more.
You don't look stressed. How did you prepare for the test?
I suppose by this stage, I'm 17 or 18 years through study. I've been studying most of my life, so by this point I've gotten quite a few good tips down pat by now. It's definitely not something that you can cram for med school. You definitely need to have a good, I suppose, base of study habits that are good for yourself mentally as well as good for your academic success. You've got to have those down pat before you get here, or develop them quickly when you do get here. So not cramming, looking after your mental health, still being able to enjoy yourself and not losing touch of all the activities that I suppose carved you into the person that they let into med school. You've got to remember that a big part about becoming a doctor is, I suppose, being personable and relatable and still having a life outside of medicine. You don't want to get here and then lose all of those things that they thought were going to make you a good doctor.
And what is it that you do outside med school that makes you who you are?
So I've always grown up outdoors, love four-wheel driving, love fishing, love camping, love mucking around with the siblings outside. So I suppose continuing as much of those as possible. I'm lucky that I can still get home quite a bit on weekends to catch up with everybody, still keep my job. So I've got lots of ways to, I suppose, alleviate the stress. We're here studying with some great people as well, so enjoy being able to get out for dinner and go out for drinks every now and then. As well as, having a fantastic large campus here. I suppose smaller than Melbourne, but still relatively large. We've got a lot of support around us to get us ready and, I suppose, help with the stress of med school.
Can you quickly run me through how you study?
Sure. So, my study technique is, I suppose, a little bit different to a lot of other people's. I don't make notes as such. I use the lecture slides and annotate them, and that's the only note taking that I'll do. My study technique comes from my passion for teaching other people. So I love being in a classroom up at a whiteboard, showing other people, new concepts and new ways of doing things. So I walk around my bedroom actually and pretend that I'm teaching a group of people. I do it as quiet as I can so that everybody doesn't think I'm crazy, but still really enjoy being able to imagine at least that I'm teaching other people this content, and it allows me to then realise what parts I don't know. I can stop, revise, and then continue with the fake teaching, and that's how I'll study right from the start all the way through to the end when I'm doing practice exams and whatnot as well.
That's amazing. Which one is your favourite part of med school thus far?
Definitely the clinical placement that we get. So one of the unique parts about studying here in this MD program at Uni Melbourne is being exposed to a clinical environment from year one. So both in the hospital and in GP clinics. So 3 times a month we'll go along to either the hospital or the GP and spend time with actual doctors, nurses, allied health professionals to, I suppose, get an insight into what their careers are like. And then by proxy what our careers are likely to be like in the future as well.
This discovery subjects, which discovery subject have you picked and why?
So I've chosen rural health, which can sound surprising given that I actually come from a strong rural background. But the reason why I chose it was because I'm really interested and very passionate about developing, I suppose, further policy in the area of rural health. Growing up in a system that is, of course, broken, as lots of people know, I suppose I've got a commitment that's built into me right from a young age, given that I had to go through the system and experience the shortfalls. I've got an inbuilt want to, I suppose, help fix it and contribute it, both as boots on the ground, as a doctor practicing in rural communities, but also from a policy perspective, hoping that we can, I suppose, start to enact some broad scale change that means that people don't have to, I suppose, lose certain health outcomes just because they live out of metro areas.
Fun question. A lot of doctors and students, they wear the stethoscope on their neck. Is that just to show off? You go into the supermarket, you grab your stethoscope, or does it actually have purpose?
Wait, say that again.
Stethoscope.
The stethoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stethoscope absolutely has a purpose. No, people don't wear it just to show off and look really cool. As much as when you come to med school, you think, oh, that's so cool, I can't wait to wear a stethoscope. You realise pretty quickly that it falls off so often and it gets in the way of everything, that it's easier to take it off than it is having it on. But yes, it does serve a purpose. There is a reason why we wear our stethoscopes around our necks most of the time. You use it constantly for cardiovascular, respiratory exams, abdominal exams, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a useful tool. It's not us trying to look pretentious or look like we know what we're doing when we really don't.
A young fella from Macedon watching this and say like, wow, I really want to do medicine. Like Tim, what advice do you have for them?
It's no longer unattainable for people in rural areas. Medicine used to be something that was really, really difficult to access if you didn't come from Metro Melbourne, because you knew that you'd have to move away from home a really long way to actually get involved and, I suppose, go down that study path. Whereas now people from all different backgrounds, including people like me from rural areas, can study and then in the future work in those rural areas that we grew up in an area where we feel comfortable, in communities where we can feel connected and, I suppose, part of the team, whereas that wasn't always possible. So it is an attainable goal. Great chance to have some fun in an area where you know is awesome. And all I can say is give it your best shot, see what happens.
Any last comment?
No.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. No worries.
Thanks.